From the Predator wanting to make an epic pro boxing debut, to the upcoming bout bringing big money to both athletes, here's why Tyson Fury versus Francis Ngannou will be the fight of the century. Now this is a bout that fight fans didn't have on their 2023 bingo card, but hey, no one's complaining because it's going to be one for the books. Francis has been wanting to put on boxing gloves for a long time.
She used to. So how old is that boxing?
Huh?
How old is that?
Right? 7.
And what's a better way to make a debut in the ring than going after the undefeated champion himself? Ngannou left the UFC in early 2023 when he failed to see eye to eye with the promotion for a new contract. But a major reason for the MMA star's departure was him wanting to test the waters in the boxing world. Ngannou wanted to follow in Conor McGregor's footsteps and try boxing for a change. But get this, Dana White isn't a big fan of his athletes fighting in the ring. He likes to keep them in the octagon and has only made an exception once for the Irishman. So Ngannou knew he couldn't follow his passion for boxing if he stayed in the UFC. The athlete then signed the deal of his dreams with PFL, and he's a man of free will now. He can do whatever the hell he wants. MMA, boxing, you name it. Now that Francis is ready for his boxing debut, he's eyeing to lock horns with the best in the game, the undisputed champion, Tyson Fury. He's the only pro boxer who's shown any interest in facing Ngannou. Plus,
Francis Ngannou, I know you're out of contract with the UFC. You want to earn some big boy money? Come see the Gypsy King.
There's a lot of beef that's hyping this matchup like no other, and it's making all the buzz in the fight world. Of course, the Gypsy King calling Ngannou a bum is gonna get everyone's attention. Fury first challenged the Predator for a boxing match back in January 2023, when the former UFC star had just called it quits with the UFC. Francis had a lot on his plate to worry about, like who he was going to sign a contract with and all that. So the potential fight went up in the air. But get this, Fury challenged the former UFC star again. And this time, he's locked and loaded to take the Gypsy King down. Tyson took shots at Ngannou and the UFC pound-for-pound king John Jones and said he'd fight them both on the same night. Nothing too much for Fury, right? Well, to everyone's surprise, Dana White was in for the blockbuster fight. But he's only willing if Fury fights his guy in the octagon, and we all know that isn't in the cards for the Gypsy King, so Jones is out of the picture. But don't fret, cause our guy Francis is here. He wasn't gonna just sit there and watch Fury call him a bum. Plus, the Predator was already having a hard time finding a perfect opponent for his boxing debut, since Anthony Joshua straight up said he wasn't up for exhibition fights and Deontay Wilder has other things going on. Fury, though, he's a free man with no upcoming planned fights, so the opportunity just presented itself, and now this bout is a done deal. Now, the rules of the fight are yet to be announced, but word on the street says it's going to be a good old boxing match with no MMA elements. When the pair had a face-off last year in 2022, after Fury's bout with Dillian Whyte, they announced that their fight would have hybrid rules. But back then, Francis was signed to the UFC, so things are way more different now. And I'd say PFL made negotiations between the two easier, cause Dana's always a pain in the butt about crossover fights. On the flip side, Fury's been teasing some big news, which had to mean Ngannou, and for all we know, there might be some epic plot twists to make the event even bigger. I'll be real here a second. The fight world's mad as hell at the Gypsy King for teasing things for attention. Yeah, he's been saying he's up to something since the start of 2023, and fans are still starving for a Fury fight. What's up, Tyson? Now, believe it or not, even the undisputed champion has problems when it comes to choosing opponents. It's more like how nobody wants to go through the pain of negotiating with him. Cause oh, that's one heck of a thing to do. Ask Alexander Usyk or Anthony Joshua, cause they both dropped out of negotiations when they couldn't keep up with Fury's crazy demands. But hey, Ngannou's a man of a lot of patience, cause he's sealing the deal with the guy. Gotta give him that at least. This bout's already a strong contender for Fight of the Year, and it's only just become an official bout. Just wait for the trash-talking round to start. The fight world has had its heart set on the fight for way too long now, and fans are dying for more details to be released. Yeah, we want Tyson Fury versus Francis Ngannou, and we want it fast. Think about it, the undefeated boxing champion and the hardest hitter in MMA. Talk about the recipe for a super fight, one that'll send the fight world into a frenzy for sure. Let's have a look at some fan reactions. One fan wrote on Twitter, "Finally a fight. Tyson's been out of the ring for too long and Ngannou is a big name. Don't know about y'all, but I'm tuning in. Well, make it two, cause I'm tuning in too." Fury hasn't stepped into the ring since his bout with White, and with all that training he's putting himself through, he better be getting ready for something big. On the flip side of things, some fans are concerned for the former MMA star. One wrote, "I like Ngannou, but unless he gets a lucky shot, Fury wins. Too much experience boxing." Now, if there's anything we've learned from the infamous Conor McGregor versus Floyd Mayweather fight, it's that the MMA star is doomed to fail unless he pulls up some tricks. We all remember how McGregor lost in a humiliating fashion, right? Is Francis going to meet the same fate? Well, regardless of the outcome of the bout, it's going to be game-changing for the athlete. You know how Francis is basically at war with Dana White ever since he left the UFC? Yeah, the UFC president said that the athlete's career is going to go down the drain now that he isn't signed to the promotion. Plus, he wasn't too impressed by the Predator's historic deal with the PFL too. And you know that's one to go down in history. Call it jealousy, I guess? Ngannou was the heavyweight champion before he abandoned his belt and walked right out of the promotion. That sure hit some sore spots for Dana because he was not having it with the athlete anymore. Now, if Francis could bag the win against the one and only Tyson Fury, yeah, that's a big slap on White's face. It's gonna make the UFC look silly, and fans are rooting for the Cameroonian to get the spotlight he deserves. And not only this, but this fight also has one more thing in store for both fighters. I'm talking big payday. That's something Francis is probably a stranger to, since the UFC is known for paying its fighters peanuts. Yep, it's one of the biggest sports in the world, but Dana White doesn't even give his athletes health insurance. Now that's just the bare minimum, isn't it? Ngannou had a base salary of $600,000 when he was a fighter in the UFC, while Fury was making millions with each bout. You see the differences there? Well, good thing he isn't signed to the UFC anymore, cause get this, Fury is paying him 50 times more than the UFC ever did for this single fight. Yeah, Fury said it himself. The purse is private information, but let's say it's 10, 20, 30, fluffing 50 times the amount. Someone asked Dana White how he's doing after getting the news, because that's a lot of money we're talking about here. Ngannou is on a path to make a fortune, something he could have only dreamed of while being in the UFC. So this upcoming bout is gonna bring him all he ever wanted, and Fury's gonna walk out with big bucks too. Nothing new for him though, he's used to it.
Well, this is going to be a very special fight, like never before seen in the history of our sport. You know, we're not talking two light guys, 140 pounds. I'm 170, he's 270 pounds, so it's going to be an explosive fight when it happens.
So there you have it, fight fans. From the upcoming bout bringing big bucks to both athletes, to the Predator wanting to make an epic pro boxing debut, that's why Tyson Fury versus Francis Ngannou will be the fight of the century.